What's good, pod? I hope everyone's having a blessed day. I hope everyone's having a great week. Let me know something that's been going on in your life that something positive, man. Even if it's something negative, that might be why you clicked this video based off the title. And who knows, man, you might learn today how to turn them negatives into positives and how to take your pain and strive and how to come out a better person. And this is something that I'm very excited to talk about, only because I did struggle with this for a very long time, and I still do struggle with it a little bit, just being an overthinker and being hard on myself. I do struggle with this still a little bit, but I can give y'all advice on how to get through this and what I do to get through this, and maybe y'all might be able to learn something. Maybe y'all might be able to teach me something down in the comments. So yeah, today is a great episode, man. I'm very excited. Today's episode 17. And yeah, like I told y'all, I'm trying to be more consistent. I'm going to try to at least upload 3 times a week, maybe 2. I can't promise y'all anything, but at least once a week, at least once, we got to get them out and get these videos done. I got so many topics. I was really going through everything today. I got so many topics I want to talk about. I did finish this book, so let me grab it to show y'all. This is what we're going to talk about next on the next episode. My bad. And yeah, as y'all could tell by the title, today we're going to be discussing how to turn your pain into purpose, and I'm going to discuss to y'all how I did that and what I have done and what I do struggle with still, and maybe some pain examples that I have turned into purpose. And I think this is a great topic to talk about. I think this is something that everybody may struggle with. Everybody should try to incorporate this in their life in some way, shape, or form, because everyone goes through pain, whether that be physical, mental, whatever. Everyone goes through something, and even the person that has it the best has been through something, whether you be aware of it or not. So there's no reason to compare pain. That's like the first step you need to take, is stop comparing your pain to others and stop using your pain as an excuse. All of those negative things that pain makes you feel, you need to turn them into positive things. And I know that's going to be hard for a lot of people. That was hard for me. It took me many years. I've been on this earth for almost 20 years now, man. Getting old. But I do want to say that I've learned a lot, and I've learned a lot from my pain. My pain has taught me a lot, bro, and I'm very thankful for my pain, and I'm very proud of what I've been through, what I've been able to achieve. But I still do get on myself about how I could be doing so much more, and that's what I mean. I turn my pain into motivation, and then I also use my pain as an example of what I don't want to be, what I never will become, and things like that. Like I was saying, one day I will share my life story with y'all. One day I will talk to y'all about what I've been through and the things that I've endured. I'm very proud of where I come from. I'm very proud of what I've been through, and I know that might sound weird to people, especially when y'all finally do hear what I've been through. And but I think it will deeper y'all's understanding about me, and y'all's understanding about why I say the things I say, why I talk about the things I talk about, and why what I say is valid, because I'm not just some person that's over here lying about what I've been through, lying about these topics. These are topics that I think I struggled with, and that I still may be struggling with, and that I want to talk to other people about and reach out to people about, because I feel like these things aren't talked about enough, or these things aren't taught to us. You may not have a dad in your life like me, or you may not have your mom in your life, whoever. You may not have any parents, you may not have anybody but yourself, but that's why you got to learn to turn your pain into purpose, and you got to learn to just turn that pain into motivation, into all positive things. And it's hard, man. Let me tell y'all, it's a big journey to do that, but it's worth it, man. It really is worth it, because I feel like turning your pain into purpose is something that is great and something that is beautiful. And yeah, I'm gonna give y'all some examples. My pain stems from a lot of trauma, a lot of physical abuse, a lot of mental abuse, a lot of just abuse, and a lot of toxicity in the household, a lot of negative things that have happened to me, whether that be with friendships, relationships. Like I said, we ain't dated, but you know what I mean by relationships. Like I've explained to y'all, there's friendships, family ships, and there's relationships. Me personally, friendships and family ships have caused me lots of trauma, and I definitely am not going to sit here and act like I'm a victim. I definitely have inflicted trauma on others due to my pain, and I feel like that's one reason why you also need to take your pain and use it to strive and turn your pain into purpose, because it's not okay for you to sit here and inflict harm on others because of your pain. It's not an excuse to dismiss what you do to others or what pain you may cause others because you've been through pain. It's like what they say in the Bible. If You get slapped on the left cheek, turn the right cheek. Like, you don't double down on someone just because they do you bad. And that's something that I feel like did for a long time. I feel like I was petty. Definitely with like females I've talked to, I feel like I definitely like was like, they trying to do me dirty, they trying to test me. Okay, bet. So I'm gonna go lower than that. I'm gonna just not talk to you, or I'm gonna just cut you off, or whatever the case may have been. But I've grown from that, and I'm proud to admit that I've grown from that, and I'm proud to admit where I've had struggles at, and I'm proud to admit the pain that I've been through, or the pain that I may have caused others. I'm willing to admit these things because these are things that I've been through. I'm willing to admit these things because these are things that I struggled with, and these are things that I feel like are not talked about enough, man. I feel like mental health is not talked about enough, especially for men, and even for women it's not spoken on enough. But I feel like women get a little bit more attention when it comes to mental health than men do, and that's just the facts, in my opinion, at least from what I see, what I have heard, things that I have been through. These are things that I deal with. So I'm not saying that that's true, but I'm saying for my life and for what I've been through, and in my opinion, that is true. I feel like men don't get enough attention about their mental health, and it's something that I want to talk about, and I want to be able to give y'all the safe space to where y'all could talk about your mental health problems, or where you could talk about your problems in general in life, whether that be whatever, physical health, mental health, whatever you're going through, and I don't care if you're a woman, I don't care if you're a man, whatever you are. I just am hoping that I'm able to help you in some way, shape, or form, because I feel like I struggled with these things in so many different ways, and it's a hard topic for me to talk about, so I might repeat myself a lot, or I might say things a lot. Like, I say a lot when I'm talking about something that I feel like is really deep, and has a very deep meaning to me. And I feel like turning pain into purpose is something that I think is very deep. I feel like that it's strong, it's powerful, it's very powerful, because if you can turn your pain into purpose, man, you unstoppable. You really become unstoppable. And one thing is hard is learning your purpose, and that's something that I could talk about on another pod if y'all want me to go over that. And like I said in a previous pod, learning your purpose is definitely going to help you in your daily life. You're not going to be wandering through life, just going through the days, not knowing what you're doing, not knowing what you're going to do, what you can become. I feel like that's the biggest thing, and the biggest part of life is finding your purpose. And I feel like that's something that I did struggle with. I was just wandering through life. I had lost faith in God, I had lost faith in everything, and I had no motivation to do anything. I had no motivation to become anything. But let me tell y'all, man, I took that pain and I strived and I pushed through it, and I turned it into purpose. This is your life. You have the ability to change your life. You have the ability to take your pain and turn it into purpose, and understand what your purpose is, and to further your purpose. I feel like that's the biggest thing, is turning that pain into purpose, and then furthering that purpose, working towards that purpose, whether that be 1% every day. At least do something to further that purpose. And like, one thing I still do struggle with is having gratitude in a way. I'm very thankful for what I have. I'm very blessed to be where I'm at and to be in my position, but I struggle with being comfortable, and I struggle with the mental health aspect of that, because I feel like every day I wake up, or before I even go to sleep, like, I struggle to go to sleep, y'all. I'm gonna keep it real. I have insomnia really bad. It takes me like 3 hours of just laying there with my eyes closed to go to sleep, because like for an hour I'll think, and then for an hour I'll focus, and I'll listen to my headphones, because I do listen to like some audio to help me go to sleep, because that does help me in a way. I didn't think it would, but it does. So maybe that's game for y'all. Maybe y'all needed that information, but I'm just letting y'all know what my process is to go to sleep, and how that is pain, and how I turn that pain into purpose, right? Because I feel like sleep is a big thing and a big part of your life, and if you're losing out on sleep, that causes you pain, whether you notice it or not. That causes you to be groggy during the day, that causes you to lose energy, that causes you to just wake up with a clouded mind, because it causes you to not want to get out of bed. But the other pain is you got to get out of bed, you got to go to work, you got to make some money, you got to do what you got to do, and that might be pain right now, and I feel like for me that definitely is pain. I definitely know I could be doing so much more, and like I said, I set these high expectations on myself because I know I could do them, and I know I could accomplish it, and I get mad because I know that I could be where I know I can be, if that makes sense. I know where I could be, and I know that I can be there. That was a better way to word. Like, I'm able to see my purpose, I'm able to understand my purpose, I'm able to live every day furthering my purpose and working towards my purpose. But then it's like I already expected myself to be on my purpose so much that my purpose would have already started to unwrap itself. And what I mean by that is I already would have started living a better life, and I would have already started being financially free, because I feel like that's one of my steps towards furthering my purpose, is becoming financially free, because I want to be able to drop vlogs about traveling the world, visiting different places, talking to different people, all those different things. And, to do that, you have to be financially free. Let's be real. And I want to be able to start my clothing brand and be able to help many people with that, and with clothing and with fashion and everything in that aspect. But to do that, you have to be financially free. You can pull out all these loans, but then you're going to be in debt. You feel me? So that's what I mean. It's not just the materialistic things. Like, obviously, I do want to have nicer clothes. I do want to be able to provide for my family. I do want to be able to give them materialistic things and give myself materialistic things, like nice cars, and like I said, nice clothes, nice shoes, everything. And I think everyone wants that. And like, I feel like the negative connotation around materialistic things is definitely gets used out of context. Like, I feel like everyone should have some sort of drive to want to obtain some type of materialistic thing, because at the end of the day, a materialistic thing is something that you could see, is something that you could obtain if you truly do understand what you're doing, and you truly do know that you want that. Like, let's say, for example, I really want this book, I really want to buy this book, but I don't have the money for this book. Okay, I'll go back to the library or back to the bookstore, wherever it is. If I need to sign up to get that book, I'll do that. If I need to go to the bookstore and buy that book, that's what I do personally. I like to go to the bookstore and buy books, but guess what? I work to buy those books. I work to buy clothes. I work to pay for my car. I work to do all these things. And at the end of the day, I'm exchanging my time for money. And that's not a good feeling. I don't know if y'all are fine with that, but me personally, I'm not fine with that. And that's what I mean. If you want to stop exchanging your time, which is precious, which is limited, which you can't get back, for money, then you have to be financially free. You have to figure out something that you could do to where you don't feel like you're exchanging your time for money. And I think that's huge. And that's part of taking that pain and turning it into purpose. I understand right now that I'm exchanging my time for money. And I understand that I don't like doing it. I don't like working. Who likes working? Like, if you like working, props to you. But me personally, I can't. I don't like working. So, I do like being able to work and being able to provide for myself and help my family out and all of those things. But at the end of the day, it's not something that I want to do, and it's not something that I want to do in my future. And I know what I'm going to do to make it so I could stop doing that, but still make 100x the amount of money that I make now. It's infinite. The money for me is going to be an infinite concept, because I feel like, and I have come to the conclusion that it's never going to be enough. So therefore, I have turned that pain into understanding myself in that aspect, and taking it and striving and learning from it. And when you learn and you understand and you take pains and you admit your feelings, even if that feeling causes you pain, and you admit these negative things, that's when you're taking the steps to turn pain into purpose. And that was one of the biggest steps it took me, was admitting how I felt. Because, I grew up in a household where it's wrong for me to feel a certain way. It's wrong for me to act a certain way. It's wrong for me to even have an opinion, to have a say-so to anything, bro. Like, it was just wrong. And it was just wrong for me to even want to speak up about not liking a certain thing, or not wanting a certain thing to happen to me, or not wanting a certain thing to be done to someone else, or whatever the case may have been. That's just how we grew up. And at the end of the day, it sucks to say it, but that was very negative. That was pain, bro. That caused me lots of pain, lots of trauma. You're not able to say a certain thing without getting beat. You're not able to act a certain way without getting beat. You're not able to do certain things without getting beat. And at the end of the day, that traumatizes a kid, especially when you're really young and you just, like, first memories is you just, going through it, and you're going through life, and you just keep going through it, keep going through pain. And people don't understand, like, that causes a big mental strain on somebody, man. Like, that mental abuse and that physical abuse is a crazy combo to hit kids with, man. We gotta stop doing that. We gotta stop doing that, bro. I'm not finna do that to my kids. I don't know why the last generation decided to traumatize this generation, but y'all could see the impact that's having on this world in general. People are out here crashing out. People are out here doing a lot of strange activity. People are normalizing a lot of strange activity, and me personally, that's not what I stand for. And that's why I'm able to come out here and talk about these things. And that's why I say I am blessed. I do have gratitude, but I'm just not comfortable, bro. It's never enough. Like, I'm never going to be comfortable. I truly do think that. I think the day I'm truly comfortable is when I have everything that I ever wished to obtain. And that's why I set my goals so high and my expectations so high, because I know that these are things that I can accomplish and that I can truly be comfortable. But the thing that comes before comfortability for me is happiness, and to no longer have any sorts of pain in my life. Because like I said, I still do go through pain. I still do turn that pain into purpose, but I want to be able to just have straight purpose, no pain. I don't know if that makes sense, but let me know in the comments what y'all think about that. If y'all could have straight pain, why would you want to have that? Like, why would you want to have just pain going on in your life and not have any purpose? That's why you got to turn that pain into purpose, because I feel like we go through life having straight pain, especially when you come through traumatic households and you have been through a lot of different things. It leads you to not trust people. It leads you to not understand people. It leads you to overthink. It leads you to lose sleep at night. It leads you to have nightmares, break into cold sweats. It leads you to like flinch at certain things. Certain noises may make you jumpy or whatever, That's just how it is, for real, for real. Like, people don't speak on it enough. Like, I don't know, I feel like it gets normalized, especially when you like live growing up in the hood. It's just normalized for people to die. It's just normalized for people to get shot at. It's normal for people's houses to get shot up. Like, why is that normalized? It's just normal for men to beat on their females. It's just normal for a woman to have 10 baby daddies. Like, I do not mess with that. It took me moving out of that and understanding and looking out from a different lens to understand, like, that is not okay. And it took a lot of growing and a lot of pain for me to finally get to understand that this is not okay. What I've been through is not okay. And that was like my biggest part of growing, and my biggest part of learning my purpose was understanding myself and understanding that what I've been through was not okay, because I feel like I normalized it, and I still do normalize it. Like, I'll talk to people about it and I'll be like, nah, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. Explain something I've been through and they be in shock, and I'm just like, what's that reaction for? I just said it's not that bad. Like, you feel me? And that's just how I see things. Like, I really don't see things as that bad when I go through something, because everything's a learning experience and everything's something that could further my purpose. But I didn't think that way when I was going through those traumas, if I'm keeping it real with y'all. But now when I talk about those traumas, it doesn't bother me to speak on those traumas, because there's something that drives me every day. There's something that has turned me into this person that I am today. And y'all got to get to that point. It's very hard. And like I just told y'all, the things I've been through, just a little sliver. Like I said, one day we'll break down to y'all the full life path of what my life has been. But today, that's not what we're doing. And I don't think I'm going to do that for a while. And I'm going to be real with y'all. I don't think I can do that for a while, just because I'm still going through the motions, still going through the pain. And I've relived a lot of my traumas just to make me further my purpose. And it wasn't hard for me to do that. It was just hard for me to get to that point to where I could even deal with and deal with and basically face those pain and those traumas. It's hard for people to deal with and to face trauma and to admit that what they've been through is not okay, because I feel like we grow up thinking it's okay because we see either worst or we know someone has it worse than us, so we normalize what we're going through, and then we want to help those people. At least that's what I did. I would want to help the other people that I knew that was going through something worse, or I would want to try to further their purpose instead of furthering my purpose. I was filling up their cup and never even putting a drop of water in my cup. You feel me? And I feel like that's something that everybody struggles with, when at the end of the day, if they were real friends, if you have real people around you, y'all will just be filling one big glass, instead of you taking out of one person's cup, pouring in yours, and then they taking out your cup, pouring in yours, and then you left with an empty cup. That's where I was at. My glass was empty. I had nothing. And it took me having nothing, feeling nothing, going through this whole sickness that I went through at one point until I moved to Texas. I was going through this sickness. Even after I moved to Texas, it took like a week for that to go away. But I was going through this anxiety sickness. I talked about this, I think, on one of my very first episodes. I went through this anxiety sickness because of all the things I was going through, and it made it so I wouldn't get out of bed. I wasn't able to eat. Like, I remember one time I ate this McChicken at the homie's crib, because at this point my friend's family was taking care of me. A whole bunch of things was going on to where that was happening. I'm not going to get into it right now, but I'm sharing this to be open with y'all and to show y'all some of the pain that I've turned into purpose. I was going through this sickness, and this sickness was causing me to not be able to eat. And one time I ate this McChicken, and I remember I started sweating. I started feeling like my stomach was burning, like my chest was burning. I was having heartburn, and every second just made me feel like I was going to throw up. And then, I'm just feeling like that after eating one McChicken. I took like 2 bites out of it, and like the pepper, I guess, or whatever, just made my acid reflux kick in, made my sickness just feel way worse, like times 10. And it just made me feel totally like trash. And then I laid down, and when I laid down, they started playing this scary game on the TV, and there was a lot of spinning going on, and I'm watching, and that spinning made me feel like I was about to throw up. So I like struggled to get off the couch, and I like basically like slowly stumble into the bathroom, and I almost throw up, but I don't throw up. And that's when I'm like, dang, is this sickness even real? Like, that's when I realized, like, is this sickness even real? Because why do I feel like I'm going to throw up every day? Why can I not eat? But then I'm not even going to throw up. I can eat like rice and toast. I was eating like rice, toast. I was eating some things because you got to eat. You'll die if you don't eat. So, I was eating, but like certain things I ate made me feel like total trash. Anything that was spicy, anything that like gave me heartburn, and all of those things. And at that point, I wasn't able to eat much. I would drink water and get heartburn at this point. Like, that's wild to say you drink cold water and you're getting heartburn. Like, I would drink cold water to help the heartburn, but it would just make it worse. Or I would eat like spaghetti, get heartburn. I would eat anything, get heartburn. And spaghetti makes a little bit of sense because it's very acidic because of the tomatoes. But at the end of the day, it was anything. I swear to God, like the homie could vouch. And if he's watching, vouch in the comments. And the other homie, if you're watching, you vouch in the comments too, because it was your household that I was staying in, and you was taking care of me basically every day. Because I remember I would take them to my crib they would take me to my crib, and they would have me get clothes, and then I would go back, stay at their crib. And I did that for almost like a year, dang near. Like, it was a minute, bro. And that's what I mean. Like, they took care of me. They were my family for a long time. And like I said, there was a lot of things. There was a lot more than just that, but that's just a little bit of the pain that I went through to further my purpose. It's hard to look back and to admit my mental weakness and my physical weakness at that point. It was very hard for me to go through what I went through again at that time. It was very hard for me to understand that it was not okay. Like, at that point, I was like, I'm sick. All these other terrible things are going on. This might be it. I was done. If I'm being real with y'all, I got to the point to where I thought I wasn't even going to make it to like 16. And that's just me keeping it real, keeping it a buck. Like, when you're that sick and you're that mentally ill because of all these negative things going on in your life, you go and think about, do I even want to be here? Do I even want to, and that's like, it's a hard topic to speak on, but that was me. I didn't want to be here. I was either going to crash out or just, you already know how it goes. Like, I can't sit here and say the word, but y'all know what I'm saying. Like, I was to that point where I was done. And if it wasn't going to be someone else, it was going to be myself that does that and that ends that. And I had got to that point, and then I got forced to move away from California, and I moved to Texas. And I'd be telling y'all I'd be out here in Texas now, and I still be going back to California, and I don't have anxiety attacks or anything like that when I go back to California. If anything, I'm in better spirits when I'm back in California because I'm surrounded by people that see me in that state and help me through that state and still see me as the person I am today. And they recognize how much I've grown. They recognize how real I am, and I recognize how much they've grown and how real they are as a person. And y'all don't understand, that's a great feeling when you have people around you that are just great people on their purpose, and they're helping you further your purpose, and you're furthering their purpose. And that's really, really powerful. And that's you going through that pain, even if it's with them, to further that purpose, whatever that shit may be, family ship, friendship, relationship, whatever it is. If you have someone in your life, you got to hold on to that, and you got to be willing to understand, like, everybody goes through their own things, everyone has their own pain, and everyone has their own demons that they're fighting, right? But I don't even like using the word demons because I feel like that's just a little, like, it's demonic. I mean, it's demons, it's a little demonic, but at the end of the day, everyone has their own things that they're fighting and dealing with in their head. And I feel like I was one of those people. I still don't share a lot of things I've been through to my main friend, to the person that I call brother. He still doesn't know a lot of things I've been through. That's because I have shared certain things with him and just seen how that may negatively impact him because of how good of and real of a friend he is. I don't want to tell him so much, and then him, like, I don't like seeing my friends in pain. I don't think anyone does, unless you a bad friend. But I don't like seeing my friends in pain, and if me explaining what my pain has been through, and me thinking that it's okay, and then him having to tell me, oh, no, that's not normal, or no, that's not okay, like, you can't think that's okay. It takes real people for them to do that, and it takes real people to wake you up out of that sleep of thinking that everything's okay and thinking that everything's gonna just be all right and that you can just wander through the world. You got to get on your purpose, man. You got to understand that this pain is temporary. At the end of the day, this too shall pass. That's one thing I've said in almost every episode. This too shall pass. Anything you're going through, it will pass. Anything that you think may happen, it will pass. Like, even if you think tomorrow's going to be a bad day because of whatever happened today, right? You got to understand, even if tomorrow is a bad day, you're going to be able to get through it and it's going to pass, and that's one thing that I be telling you, I'm going to get that tattooed on me because I was at a point in my life where I didn't understand that this too shall pass. I was in that mindset that I don't even want it to pass. I just want it to end. Like, that's really what it got to. And at the end of the day, I'm glad to say that I'm past that. And I understand now that this too shall pass. Like, now I'm doing better. I'm working hard. I'm getting things done, but still not enough. And I beat myself up for it because mentally I'm where I'm going to be in the future. I don't know if that makes sense. I'm my future self mentally. I just don't have the things my future self will have. And that's where you got to be at. You got to be that delusional, and you got to want it that bad to where you work towards it and you put in that work every day. And like I said, whether that be 1%, whether that be you dealing with the pain on a daily basis, you got to be willing to put in that work and to deal with that pain so you could have a better outcome. And you got to understand that learning your purpose is hard. Like I said, I could do an episode if y'all want. Just let me know down in the comments about learning your purpose. But at the end of the day, it's harder to further your purpose, and it's harder to take the pain that you may be going through right now, or that you may have been through in the past, and to take that purpose and to turn it into motivation. But when you do it, like I said, it's a beautiful thing, man. And one thing that I've noticed from turning my pain into purpose was regaining faith, and that was strong for me, believing in God and believing in Jesus Christ. That was a huge thing for me, because at one point I have given up on God. I had got to the point in my life where I was like, how is God real? If God was real, he wouldn't be allowing all these things to happen to me. I think many people go through that. And I had fallen out of faith, and there's this it's called steps, and it's basically where it says that God has been walking with you this whole time, and you just didn't see his footprints, and instead you saw only your footprints, right? But instead there's two pairs of footprints, and instead of you thinking that there is no longer God's footprints and that it's your footprints just walking this path now because you've given up on God, you notice that it was God carrying you and that those are his footprints in the trail. It's something like that, right? And here, I could look it up, but I believe it's called Footprints in the Sand. It's a beautiful part of the Bible, but yeah, that's big, and that was hard for me to understand and hard for me to move past. And it was painful for me to admit that I was that weak of an individual, and I was that weak mentally, and I was that lost mentally, to where I had given up on God. I've given up on faith. And like I said, that's very hard for people to do, and it's a lot takes a lot of motivation and a lot of pain. It took a lot of pain and a lot of mental strain on myself for me to understand that I was done. I was fed up, and that I have the ability to change it. I have the ability to change this outcome. I have the ability to change how I look at things. I have the ability to do whatever I want, because at the end of the day, this is my life. I'm in control of my life. And when you're on your purpose, that's what you're going to understand, and that's why you'll be able to further your purpose. And that's hard, because when you're going through so much pain and it's unbearable, it's hard for you to see any light when there's only darkness. But you got to be able to create that light. You got to be able to see that light for yourself, because only you can do that. Other people don't want to do that for you. If anything, other people would rather you not see the light, because people only want to see you go as far as they can go. And once you're doing better than them, those people switch up, or whatever the case may be. But yeah, I feel like that's huge, and I feel like people struggle with that, because it's very hard for people to get through that, and it's very hard for people to admit their pain and admit their struggles or admit their shortcomings, whatever the case may be. Whatever may cause you pain, it's hard for people to admit that, but at the end of the day, it's powerful when you could do that. And I found it right here. It is called Footprints in the Sand. I knew I wasn't mistaken, but I'm gonna read this to y'all, and I want y'all to just listen to this. You understand how powerful this is. It says right here, right? One night in a dream, I walked with the Lord by the beach. There were two footprints, mine and the Lord's, but during tough times, I just saw mine, and I wondered why. So I asked the Lord, why leave me alone when I was down? The Lord said, my precious child, I never left you. During your times of trial and suffering, when you saw only one set of footprints, it was then that I carried you. So basically, he's saying it was me that was carrying you when you were going through those tough times. It wasn't me that had let you go or given up on you. It wasn't me that just disappeared. It was never that. It was God helping you, because he understood that you could get through these tough times. So he assisted you through these tough times, whether you notice it or not. And that's one thing I had to realize, God wouldn't have had me go through the things that I went through if he didn't think I could deal with those battles, and if he didn't think I could come out of it a stronger person. And now I'm back at the point to where God is walking with me instead of having to carry me. And I'm very thankful to be at that point, because I was at a point where I didn't even notice any footprints in the sand. I didn't notice my own footprints, and I didn't notice God's footprints in the sand. And I feel like that's very powerful. I feel like it's a beautiful thing to have faith. And like I said, it doesn't have to be God. It could be whatever helps you. But I just want y'all to be better. I just want y'all to be able to further your purpose. But over here, it's God and Jesus that helps me. And it's very powerful when you have faith, because you have to put your faith into something. Otherwise, you're going to be lost, and you're going to be wondering and wandering this world, just trying to go through it, wondering what life can be, wondering what life has become, wondering why you're going through what you're going through. But at the end of the day, no one has that answers for you but God. No one has those answers for you, but whoever you may look up to and put your faith in. And that's very powerful when you're able to do that. And it's very hard for people to be able to do that. But when you do that, you're going to understand that your pain can turn into purpose. I'm trying to tell y'all, this pain that you're going through is hard, man. I know I'm going through pain as well, whether y'all see it or not. Y'all can't see it. I don't vlog my pain. I don't talk about it too much. Like I said, and I haven't told y'all a lot of pain that I've been through that has helped me learn my purpose and further my purpose. But like I said, I could go over that with y'all one day, and I will share that with y'all one day, because I really do appreciate my viewers. I really do appreciate all my supporters, all my peoples, man. Like I said, this is more than just a YouTube channel. This is something that I want to be able to help people. I want to be able to reach out to the right people and be able to help people on a daily basis with these things that I struggle with, that I feel like are not talked about enough, not spoken on enough. And I want to be able to help the people that are willing to listen, the people that are willing to further their purpose and are willing to understand their purpose. And I really did enjoy talking about this topic. I hope y'all got to know a little bit about me, at least from this topic, because I feel like this is something that I struggle with, and I can't tell y'all enough or show y'all enough. But just know, this is something that I really did struggle with for a long time, and like I said, I do currently still struggle with it, but it's not on the same scale that it used to be. Like I said, I had lost faith, I had lost hope, and I had lost the ability to believe in myself and to believe that I even was deserving of anything, and even deserving to breathe at one point, and it's very hard for me to admit that and to air this on the internet at that, but I'm very open with my things to y'all, because I feel like I want to have a deeper connection. I want to get to understand y'all, and I want to get to know y'all on a deeper level, and I want y'all to know me on a deeper level, because like I said, I just want to help the people that need to hear this, the people that haven't heard this. I want to be that person that could make it so this falls onto the right ears, because I didn't have that. I didn't have people in my corner for me when I was going through it at times, and when I did have people in my corner, I was so thankful, and they helped me, and they carried me, and God carried me. And even when I didn't want to walk, they helped me through this, and I do appreciate those people. Y'all know who you are, man. And like I said, I got people that can vouch for me. I got people that know, but at the same time, you don't need anyone to vouch. This is your life. You understand your own life. No one else does. And that's a big part of furthering your purpose, understanding that this is your life. This is your pain. You can't tell anyone to understand your pain, because they can't understand your pain, because they're not you. You live this life once. This is your life. Take control of your life. Understand that you could turn your pain into purpose. You could have a purpose. You're more than what you're going through. You're more than what your pain is, and you'll be able to get through that, man. And I do appreciate y'all watching. This is the Real Talk Podcast. Real people talk about the real. And I hope y'all enjoyed this episode, and peace out, man.